Hi, this is Lucia with The Art of Love. I'm a dating and relationship expert specializing in helping you get your ex back. And today I want to talk about whether your avoidant ex misses you. I know that most of the people listening to my channel have an anxious attachment style, and they often find themselves in relationships with the total opposite, which is the avoidant attachment style. And to define what an avoidant attachment style means, it means that they prefer to be independent. It's not easy for them to trust people, and they actually feel more comfortable when they're not in a relationship. They usually have one foot out. Whereas for me, my friend says I have 9 toes out. Because often my clients, they think they're dating an avoidant, but usually, or not usually, but sometimes it's actually someone that just has low interest. So you have to determine first whether you are dating an avoidant or were dating an avoidant. And if you were, now I will let you know whether they miss you or not. But before, I of course want to welcome back my no contact army. Have you been a good little soldier or a bad little soldier? And if you've been a good little soldier, then you've downloaded my app Silencio. The link is underneath every video and also in the podcast description if you're listening on a podcast. And for those patiently waiting for the Android, yes, we're working on it. And as soon as we have a beta version, you will be the first to test it. And if you too would like to join the No Contact Army, all you have to do is hit the subscription button and the bell notification, and you will be in. And to read the No Contact Army manual, go to nocontactsecrets.com, where you can read 2 free chapters before purchasing the book. Okay, so does your avoidant ex miss you? I have 9 signs that they miss you. Now, this can actually be applied to all exes, but they especially apply to exes which have an avoidant attachment style. All right, so the first thing to ask yourself is, was your relationship serious? Because if they were willing to be in a serious relationship, then you can bet that they miss you. They wouldn't have planned a future with you. They wouldn't have been in a serious relationship if they didn't really want to, because they're usually trying to avoid serious relationships. So if it was serious, then you can bet that they missed you. Next, how did you handle the issues in the relationship? Meaning, if you were understanding of their attachment style, then they probably missed you, because it's not always going to be easy to find someone who gets them like you did. Someone who was patient and willing to accept them and their need for space and a lot of alone time. So understanding someone is always attractive, but it's especially important for avoidance. Next, do they try to keep in touch with you? Now, it doesn't mean they want to get back together. This is where most people get confused. They're like, well, they keep contacting me, but they don't say anything about meeting up or trying to get back together. Well, they just want your attention. Since they didn't feel safe in the relationship for whatever reason, that doesn't mean that they don't somehow still want you in their life. That's why a lot of exes still ask to be friends. They miss you, and they do regret the breakup, but they don't want to get back together, but they want you in their life. Next, do you know anything about their past relationships? Meaning, did they want to reconcile with their ex after the breakup? Because if they did, then there's a strong possibility that they will want to do that with you too. Or were they in an on-again, off relationship again? Again, they'll probably do that with you also. People don't do things just once. However, be careful of falling into a pattern of an on-again, off-again relationship, because if you accept that, then you will lose their respect and you will lose your self-esteem and self-confidence. And you can't have a relationship without respect, self-esteem, and confidence. I mean, you can, but it's not going to be very good. Next, how do they behave if you run into each other? So if you run into them and they act weird or uncomfortable and they try to get away from you as fast as possible, then believe it or not, that actually means they still care. You might think it's the opposite. It's like, oh my God, they hate me, they try to get away from me. No. If they didn't have an emotional connection to you, they wouldn't have felt awkward and they wouldn't be trying to get away from you. And this actually happened to several clients of mine, that they ran into their ex and the ex was trying to get away from them. And they're like, oh my God, I don't know what happened. Well, that's probably what happened. They were feeling awkward. They just wanted to avoid you. They were doing what they do best, avoid. Next, and this one definitely applies to everybody of every attachment style. Do they drunk dial or drunk text? That means, of course, they miss you. Because, people can control themselves when they're sober, but alcohol generally makes people speak more from the heart. So even though they may go back to normal the next day and may even say, hey, I didn't mean that, at least you know that because they let their guard down for a moment, they still have feelings for you. The next sign is, if you were able to gain their trust in the relationship, then that is a good thing, because avoidants find it very hard to trust people. To them, trust is almost more important than love. And in fact, the reason they broke up with you may have been because you somehow betrayed their trust. However, if you were able to have their trust and an emotional connection, and they opened up to you, then they will miss you, because they don't open up to a lot of people. And avoidants always miss people that they truly trust, since they find it so hard to trust anyone. The second last sign is, did they tell you they loved you while you were together? Avoidants don't fall in love very easily. Only when they feel comfortable with you and you've proven yourself can they begin to let their guard down. So if they said that they cared deeply about you or that they loved you, then they truly meant it. Those feelings don't just disappear overnight. And then the final sign, there's a million signs, but I'm just doing 9 today, is if they're trying to see you. So that means, are they popping up at places where they know you'll be? That's a sure sign that they miss you, because if they weren't interested or if they had moved on, they would not be trying to run into you and talk to you. They would be avoiding you. They're an avoidant, remember? Haha. Okay, so to recap, was your relationship serious? How did you handle the issues in the relationship? Are they trying to keep in touch with you? Do you know anything about their past relationships? How do they behave when you run into each other? Do they drunk dial or drunk text? Did you gain their trust while in the relationship? Did they tell you they loved you while you were together? And do they try to see you? So now I want to hear from you. Have you seen any of these signs? Whether you think your ex is an avoidant or not, have you seen these signs? And if you have, let us know below what signs you saw. Obviously, the more signs you see, the higher your chances of getting back together. But as usual, it's imperative that, especially with an avoidant, you stay in no contact, because they can't miss you if you are still around and trying to get in touch with them. They especially hate that. The worst thing you can do with an avoidant is to continue break no contact. They'll lose respect for you because they see that as weak, and they hate weakness in themselves and in other people. So if you were with an avoidant, you absolutely must stay in no contact. And if you would like my help with that, then you can contact me at theartoflove.net, and we will send you the rates for private coaching. The direct link is below. If this video has been helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. If you're listening to a podcast, please rate and review. And finally, remember that love inspires, empowers, uplifts, and enlightens.